Let's tie a knot. All right, we have one end of our thread, just one. We're putting it through the hole of the needle. Pull the one string. Now pick up the other end of the string. Those will be on one end and your needle on the other end. I like to say this is you. This is your best friend. You want to be together, right? So put them together. You and your best friend would like to go to Six Flags and ride a roller coaster. So you make a loop with your thread. Whoop. See, I don't even get it right every time. Make a loop with your thread. Take you and your best friend who are still together and go through the center of the loop and pull for your knot. Trim off the extra if there is a lot, and you're ready to go. Now we're ready to design the top of our pillow. We're just going to make a letter. I'm going to choose the letter H because it involves a little bit of decision making when you're sewing. We've got our threaded needle ready to go. You're going to poke your needle up from the bottom. That's not the right spot. That's not the right spot. That looks good. Pull the thread all the way until the knot stops it. Go in, and just a tiny bit of the needle is going to be coming through the back. And push it back up to the top of the fabric. Pull all the way. Go in till just a tiny bit of the needle pokes through. Push it back up through to the front. Pull it all the way. Poke in. If you put too much of the needle through and then push it back in, it's going to be making your stitches and the spaces between your stitches too large. You're trying to keep your stitches very small. Going in, pushing back up to the top, and pulling. If you pull too hard, your fabric will start to pucker. You can just flatten your fabric back out by stretching it. Once you have your first line created, we need to get back down to this middle line of the H. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump down there from the back, but that's not right. There we go, that's where it needs to come out. You can see I just jumped there from the back. And you're just going to continue stitching the same way, poking your needle through just a tiny little bit and pushing it back up to the front of the fabric. Now we're going to have to get fancy on the back again. I'm stretching my fabric out as it puckers. Alright, now I need to get to the top of the H. That's not the right spot. That's not right. There we go, that's right. And we've got that big stitch again on the back where I jumped. Poke it in a tiny bit, pull it to the front, flatten the fabric as you go. See, if I pull too hard when I'm sewing, kind of gathers up. So just stretch your fabric, flatten it. I'm always flattening it. And we're almost done. Final stitch. Turn your fabric over to the back so we can tie a knot. Cut your thread right by your needle. Don't cut it by the fabric. You won't have any string to tie your knot. So even though this is a lot of string, that's okay. It's better to have too much than not enough. This time it's not you and it's not your best friend and you're not going to Six Flags. This time you're going to pretend like they're your shoelaces and you're just tying your 2 shoelaces. Do that 2 or 3 times, and now you can trim the extra thread off. There's the top of your pillow, ready to go. Now for an example of what not to do. This is an example of someone sewing, making their stitches too large and too far apart. You can see, when compared with the other example, the size your stitching should be.